Hello everyone, today I'm going to discuss the balance patches that came out in NA a couple of days ago, and I'm only going to talk about Eves in this video because I'm an Eve main and this is a channel where I mostly post Eve content, and also saw lots of people talking about the patches and whether CS is more viable or not. So as somebody who played CS on endgame level and I don't have the top tier gear, I can probably provide you some information about how she feels to me. And so yeah, let's start with Code Ultimate since she's the first on the list. I'd say that Code Ultimate went from being a good character to being one of the strongest magical DPSers. I wouldn't say she is completely the strongest, as there's a very huge competition. You have Doombringer, you have Devi, and so on. There's plenty of other magical characters that probably can be stronger than Code Ultimate. It's very difficult to say, and the patch is still relatively new, to be fair. But on the topic of what actually changed, so her code recovery went from being completely useless for damage to giving almost permanent magical attack power, 15% of it, as long as you are maintaining the V key. So the good thing about V key of CU is that she can reset the key. So technically if you're using stuff like Onions or you have Celestia in your party, you can keep out the V key most of the time. With two consumables that awaken you, you can do it permanently, but if you don't have those because it takes up a lot of slots, or you don't have Celestia, it's still, you have like 2/3 of uptime, which is really good. Yeah, 15% is quite a bit, so. I mean, the trick key itself wasn't too bad for some very niche use when it comes to movement, but the fact that they've increased the damage is just much better. It just added into it, basically. Graceful Step was just moved, so she can now have the MP passive earlier. No change there. Junk Break, so here comes the major change. Junk Break got a lot of patches there. Its traits were kind of whatever. The haste trait is fine, but it's not a damage increase. And she also has the skill reset. Her useful passive was apparently more of a deterrent than actually being useful. So it's hard to say. Some people said that the damage was worse or not even better by that much. And as a CU, because I wasn't maining CU or like playing CU much, I can't really say whether it's true or isn't, because the LWiki sometimes has false information. But we can agree that both of these traits are just far worse than critical, especially in birthday rate, because there's defense there is still very high. Even if you can debuff the boss, in some parts you still can't, and the critical trait is just significantly better. So there's that. Enhancement effect went from, again, MP consumption to damage increase, really good. What else is there? Yeah, the passive removal. Then there's the JSUT skill, basically. The buff that gives you like 20% damage, so Junk Break was added into it, and there's another damage increase for Junk Break, as well as for CU as a whole. That's essentially it for CU. CS, on the other hand, didn't get direct damage changes, or like, she did, but not many. But instead she got lots of speed changes. So Giga Stream and Linear Divider got its casting speed increased by like an okay amount. Not Giga Stream didn't get anything, but how to say this? Do I feel any difference with these skills in her rotations? Personally, if you don't have cooldown Axel, or if you're playing solo content, I actually do feel the difference. It's quite good, to be fair. That sounds really weird because, you know, but the main thing is that her solo play and play where you don't have a lot of cooldown Axel improved significantly. Alone for this and the other stuff I'll talk about in a moment. 1000 Star went from being a completely trash skill to still being not so good, but at least now you can use it like to cast your overload passive if you really wanted to, because it's so fast. It's like, wow, it's just cast instantly. Although the modded version again didn't really get anything, so. Ultra Optical Investigation passive, just 2% extra critical maximize, why not? Damage increase to boss monsters. It's kind of okay. At low levels, this is pretty good, but then the more boss damage you have, the less you get from this. So you're not actually getting 20% again. Like at like 190, I was getting like 5% damage increase, so it's not as big. It's still something. Every little thing counts, so you know. There's that. One thing I want to talk about specifically is the Cold Electro, which is her passive that gave her NPR when you used mana conversion. And now instead of using mana conversion, you can just cast a skill that you would use anyways for buffing, and you get MP cost reduction and 20% on top of it all, which is amazing for her mana consumption. Her mana management in general went just so much better. It wasn't too much of a detriment to use the mana conversion in dungeons because you can use the platform ledge trick, but in raid it was such a hassle to just go and cast mana conversion, have to stand there. If you don't have the super armor passive, you can get thrown away if you don't have super armor in your party. But this changes a lot. It's just so good, really. Like the mana consumption is amazing. You don't need to use mana conversion anymore for bossing. But if you're like doing SDs or dungeons or whatever, and you want to save up a bit, then sure, it's still a pretty good skill to have in your bar if you have nothing better to use. Same with her all-skill cooldown. You don't need to spam Endritting Hard as much anymore because it's 20 seconds instead of 10 seconds, which is really good. And that's it, pretty much for Eves. It might not sound like a lot of changes, but to me, still, it's more than we probably asked for. And there's still gonna be more changes in like a few days. So if I had like sum this up basically, because most people like care about what's the performance, what changed, right? Like what exactly, like you can read, right? But like how do you feel about the changes, you know? So I'm not sure if you know, but I went Code Ultimate to test her out at least for a week. I'm not sure if I'll go back to CS. It depends on how I feel about it, because so far I've been enjoying her, which is kind of ironic because I did spend $44 to job change back from CS to CU, from CU to CS after like a month. But I think if you want to go more bossing focused, CU is 100% the way. She is very strong and compared to CS, just significantly better in bossing department. There's no like, you know, argument about that. It's just how it is, period. On the other hand, CS is still one of the best clearing characters in game. With the extra MPR, she's even more mana efficient, so it helped her clearing in a sense, because you don't have to consume as many pots. So yeah, I'm just gonna say this, just play what you like. Don't job change forever because somebody told you to, or because you like want to be, you know, just bandwagon. Although like if bandwagoning is something that you enjoy doing, or like you enjoy like playing stronger class, or like you want to be DPS, then yeah, just go CU, honestly. As much as I want to say that these buffs were like okay-ish, because the main problem is that still for the very heavy endgame play with perfect buffer parties, CS didn't get that many changes, because you are still going to spam multi-giga stream for the most part, as it's much faster. And this is actually still getting tested by Quad and Rise and me, like the CS players that play, or, well, I'm CU now, but last video I uploaded also I used multi-giga stream instead. If you don't have the CDA, you should spam the non-modded one, because it's just like stronger, right? It just has like a longer cast time. So overall, like even if she isn't as good as CU for bossing, the buffs for solo play alone and for low CDA buffers in the party was very, very good. Like she's not as reliant on CDA anymore. And then you should stack something else than linear divider or giga stream, or like which one should you stack, right? Honestly, if you want to focus on birthday rate solely, I would go for both, or perhaps only giga stream, just because of the like giga stream is just like really fast, and yeah, you are still like, well, again, giga stream just makes you more reliant on CDA buffers if that's the case, like full giga stream, and half just means that you have like a bit of both. So Yeah, but you can still go with full linear divide as well if you don't care about birthday rate, because birthday is like, you know, just one of the contents that you'll be running, and if you don't care about that, then linear divide is still your strongest skill outside of birthday rate in some parts though, because the multi-giga stream is only better on larger targets. Anyways, hopefully I gave you some information about Eve buff, and so like make up your mind where you should play CU or CS. I did not mention CS again, like Code Essentia. Code Essentia is still the strongest support for Eve and one of the strongest supports in the whole game. So if you want to support Code Essentia, is 100% the way. She's really good for support. And also there's still hope. 4th patch Eve is coming. We're still getting some patches in a couple of days. So unless, well, yeah, I don't have really expectations for it, but maybe they will like patch CS even more. We don't really know it, so yeah. Hopefully I did give you some insight. I'm probably gonna upload some CU videos in a few days, so if I go back to CS, I'll let you know as well. So there's that. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.